What's going on, guys? JSGC here, and we are here for another Manchester City video. Today we're going to have a look at Lionel Messi and whether he would help to solve Manchester City's problems or not. But before we crack on with this video, make sure, like always, if you are enjoying the content and you want to help to support my channel, then subscribe, press that red button, press the bell and put your push notifications on. I am aiming for 15,000 subscribers, so any help towards that would be much appreciated by me. Don't forget also social media links in the description below and sliding across at the bottom of the screen if you want to go and follow me on my Twitter and Instagram. Email also in the description below too if you want to hit me up for any sponsorships for any videos or any general business inquiries. Don't forget also to leave a thumbs up if you do enjoy this video, and most importantly, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. So let's crack on with this video and let's have a look at whether Lionel Messi would help solve the problems at Manchester City. Now, it's all about when Man City would want to sign Lionel Messi. The rumours floating around are saying that City could get that business done for as much as £50 to £60 million in January, and adding Eric Garcia, who would be included in on the deal. So that is a doable transfer. It's all about then, does Lionel Messi still want to leave Barcelona even though they're getting a new president, and if that is the case, how do they make that so? Now, the one positive City I've got with regards to the transfer of Lionel Messi is a new president that would come in would allow Lionel Messi to leave should Messi want to leave. I know it does make it more likely that Messi would sign a new contract at Barcelona as well. However, if Man City put up their proposal forward in January, I would say that it is a doable transfer for Manchester City. Still a lot of hurdles to get through, and it is a complicated transfer to get completed, but it isn't impossible. Now, I wouldn't rule out a pre-contract agreement, and I would say that it is more likely that Lionel Messi, if he was to leave Barcelona, would more than likely come next summer, and it may well come for free if he doesn't sign a new contract. It does mean City can get him on a pre-contract agreement, just like Barcelona can get Eric Garcia on a pre-contract agreement, but nothing stops Man City from going for Lionel Messi and bringing him in January. Now, in my opinion, Man City will need signings in the January transfer window. We wasn't as ruthless in this summer transfer window as what I was hoping for. Maybe there was getting distracted by what was happening with Lionel Messi. We dragged our feet too long with Kalidou Koulibaly and not moving on to alternative players soon enough, and so I feel like it's just delayed us in possibly maybe signing a player or two. And when I'm looking at the team needs a little bit of freshening, basically, into the team, in particular in attack. We've brought in for attack Ferran Torres, who was our Leroy Sané replacement. Ferran Torres, as I said when we signed him, he's 20 years old. You cannot expect Ferran Torres to hit the ground running and set the world alight. He is 20 years old. He will need at least another 2 seasons before you start seeing the best out of Ferran Torres. And in my opinion, for the price that we signed him for, I think he's a very good investment. And I think that people jumping on his back, it just isn't justified. He isn't an experienced player. He's still learning. Give him 2 seasons. In 2 seasons' time, assess where he's at. That's when you'll get a good idea of what way Ferran Torres is progressing. So I look elsewhere to the team. I look to the senior players. I look to the experienced players, the international players. I look towards Raheem Sterling. I look towards Riyad Mahrez. I look towards Sergio Aguero, and I look towards Gabriel Jesus to be providing Manchester City with the goals. I could argue a case that actually the problem might be coming from the middle rather than up top, but let's just speak about the attack first. Now, in my opinion, adding Lionel Messi to our attack obviously strengthens our attack, and what I feel like it would do if City did bring in Lionel Messi in January, other than being a huge morale boost to Manchester City and world attention and everything, it would also mean that Premier League teams would have to just kind of prepare for their games a little bit differently. Just parking the bus if Man City had Lionel Messi there may not be all that it is, because Lionel Messi is one of, if not the best player in the world, and just putting defenders in front of Lionel Messi isn't necessarily going to stop someone of the calibre of Lionel Messi. Now, Premier League defenders will, I can guarantee, still try and park the bus and keep him out of the game, but with the thing with Lionel Messi and the thing that he's got on Raheem Sterling and Riyad Mahrez, he's very tricky. He will need 2 or 3 players to mark him out of the game, whereas Riyad Mahrez and Raheem Sterling, we're finding all too often 1 or 2 players are man-marking them out of games, and then they're struggling to get involved. A great example was just yesterday with how well that Reguilon did for Tottenham at left-back, keeping Riyad Mahrez extremely quiet. had his number. You ask yourself then, would Reguilón have Lionel Messi in his back pocket and keeping him quiet in a game? He's probably going to need support. And so if he gets support from another centre-back that draws out an Eric Dyer, or it draws out a Toby Alderweireld, and all of a sudden space becomes available there for Manchester City, and you just start pegging the team back. And that's what Lionel Messi would bring to Manchester City. Would he bring goals? Yes. Would he be the top goal scorer? Probably not, because he's coming in January. However, it would allow a lot of space for the other players, and for that space, that's where I'd be looking for the Raheem Sterlings. That's where I would be looking towards Sergio Aguero, Gabriel Jesus, Mahrez if he's playing, Ferran Torres if he's playing, even the attacking midfielders, the Phil Fodens, the Kevin De Bruynes, the Ilkay Gundoğans, the Bernardo Silvas as well. This is where I'd be looking for them to be finding that extra bit of space, finding them shots, and finding the back of the net. And I think Lionel Messi would bring a huge morale boost to the team, and I feel like in January we need a big morale boost. And what I mentioned right at the beginning of this video is I said I wanted Man City to be ruthless, and I've said this for months, and lots of people have disagreed, and people are entitled to their opinion and they are entitled to disagree, but I've said it and people called me crazy. We're a midfielder short. David Silva's left and we haven't replaced David Silva. We're getting more minutes for Phil Foden, which is absolutely brilliant, but Bernardo Silva seemed to just be struggling along in the middle. Kevin De Bruyne isn't hitting the heights that he was hitting last season, and it's just looking so disjointed, and I feel like we haven't got that David Silva replacement. We haven't got that extra bit of quality, that experience in our team, and it's telling in the middle. It really is telling. And I cried for it. I said I wanted a central midfielder. Now there's lots of different options for Manchester City to target in central midfield. We've been getting linked with lots of different players. We've been getting linked with the long-term Fernandinho replacement, which to me is an important replacement that City must get right. Whether that would be Douglas Luiz, whether that would be Zakaria from Monchengladbach, that remains to be seen, but it could be anyone that City choose to replace Fernandinho with. However, we've still got that little problem that David Silva's left. And yeah, I'm looking for more quality in central midfield, if I'm honest with you. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Houssem Aouar is the player that I want. He's getting linked with a move to Arsenal. I don't want him to go to Arsenal. I want him to come to Manchester City. He can play defensive, can play offensively, can set up well for the counter-attack. He's a brilliant tackler of the football. He's great at pressing as well. He controls the midfield. He is a wonderful football player, and I think he would add some much needed energy into the Manchester City midfield and into the team. And again, someone of quality like Aouar would end up trying to man-mark out the game, and it creates space for other players like Kevin De Bruyne, instead of him drifting to the left and to the right and want him to put crosses into the box all the time. Drift him deeper into midfield. It won't be the first time we've seen Kevin De Bruyne play in a defensive midfield role where he can see everything that's happening in front of him and he can play them inch-perfect passes, which is what he's capable of. Having someone like Houssem Aouar there would also allow them for the space for the wingers to link up play. Do you know what I mean? You're having to just close things out and get a little bit of energy and a burst of energy. I love Phil Foden. I want him to continue with his progression. I think he's doing very well at Manchester City. I do think he needs support though, and Bernardo Silva is starting to become more and more evident that he's struggling a little bit and he does need to find his form. Now I really do like Bernardo Silva. I think he's a wonderful football player. When he first came to Manchester City, it was very refreshing how he was great at pressing, being in the defender's face, cutting in onto the left, onto the right, and causing lots of problems. And he was a neat, tricky little winger, a winger that we haven't really had at Manchester City. However, it's just becoming more and more evident that he's getting sus, basically. And so I'm just looking for City then to have another option, a little bit more energy, just to provide into that midfield, just to allow Bernardo Silva that if one of the wingers isn't playing well, he can go into the wings, or if something isn't working in the middle and we get injuries, Bernardo can then drift into the centre. I think Bernardo Silva, I don't think he's a problem, but I think it's becoming more and more problematic as to what Bernardo Silva's strengths are and how we utilise him in our system at Manchester City. We spoke about the system and Pep Guardiola yesterday in that video where we looked at 5 things that we've learned. If you want to go and check that out, then please do feel free. I just feel like at this moment in time, a lot of the players' morale is down, their heads are down. It's nothing a couple of wins probably wouldn't sort out, but that even if City managed to plug together some wins into January, it's papering over cracks, and the problems are there that City do need fresh new blood, and Man City needing to go out there and just try and replace some of the players that we haven't quite replaced, or bringing in new blood to provide some new ideas. And if that means spending some money to sign Lionel Messi early, then if it's doable, go out there and do it. If that means bringing in a top class central midfielder like Houssem Aouar, go out there, go and do it. If that means bringing in and bedding in a defensive midfielder as a long-term Fernandinho replacement to allow Rodri and Ilkay Gundogan some respite as well, then so be it. Go out there. If that means signing in Douglas Luiz if City see him as that option, or Zakaria, then going out there and getting the business done early. The last thing you want is just to have another summer like we just had, where we just take our time and it ends up just drifting apart and we end up bringing in some players but not others. I mean, I find it crazy that I'm speaking about all these players. I've not even spoke about another position that I'm not happy with, which is left back as well, which City could look at in January. So, yeah, I feel like there are some problems there for Manchester City that certainly can be sorted in the transfer window. However, I do not think all of City's problems that lie on the field or off the field lie in the transfer market. I think it's all about freshness, ideas, and finding form. And City need to start doing that as quickly as possible. Otherwise, the season's going to start deteriorating away and we're going to find it very difficult to be able to get up to the positions where we want to be, and minimum we want to be in the Champions League positions, and City need to, in my opinion, be getting there ASAP before we end up being under a lot of pressure. So we'll see what happens. I'm not too keen on people calling this a little transition phase. Bringing in 2 or 3 players and selling 2 or 3 players to me isn't a transition. A transition is when you've got 4 or 5 key players leaving Man City and you need in 2 or 3 seasons when you bring players in for them to settle in before you see the full impact of transition is what a transition is. And to Manchester City, with a squad that we've got, should be minimum finishing in 2nd place. It should be competing on all fronts for trophies, and it should be doing a lot better than what it is. We've still got lots of quality out there. We need this quality to start telling. If not, questions will be asked, and then questions will need to be answered. City, they do have the financial flex there, where they can go out there and bring players in if that is needed. And in my opinion, ruthlessness is what's needed at Manchester City at this moment in time. So whilst I look at Pep Guardiola, I'm going to be looking at the board above as well. I'm looking at chicken, I'm looking at bringing players in, and Lionel Messi, if it is doable, would be a great signing for Manchester City, just for that huge morale boost for the team. It's Lionel Messi in your team. What more morale boost do you need? You feed the ball to Lionel Messi, you let him do his thing in the attacking third, and you watch the space come available, and you watch how Manchester City will become kind of like a different animal. If that doesn't work, then you're going to have to look at a long-term Sergio Aguero replacement, and City could look at that again in January. City could look at a striker. There's lots of directions that City could go in. The questions will be asked in January, and like I've said, plenty of times we will have daily transfer updates throughout January, and I'm hoping that Man City will be busy. I'm looking for at least a signing. I want 2 or 3 if I'm completely honest. If City want to have a successful second half of the season, I think new blood is needed, and 2 or 3 signings could be needed in January. Not so much desperate signings, but it's more just rectifying, because we didn't do as much business as what I was hoping we would do in the summer. We did some business, but not all. We can complete that in January. Will they do that with the finances and stuff? Remains to be seen. City could sell a player. If City were to sell a player, who might that be? Let me know in the comments below. So there we go, that's been the video. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy this video, make sure you leave a thumbs up so I know that you enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Subscribe if you're new around here. Press that red button, press the bell, and put your push notifications on. Aiming for 15,000 subscribers, so any help towards that would be much appreciated. Don't forget also, social media links in the description below and sliding across at the bottom of the screen if you want to go and follow me on my Twitter and Instagram. Email also in the description below too if you want to hit me up for any sponsorships for any videos or any general business enquiries, and I'll be back again very soon for the next Manchester City video. So I've been JSGC. I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their day and enjoys their Sunday. Peace. Ciao for now.